Okay, let's start. So thank you very much for being with us today. It's been a few weeks now, but we have worked so hard for you guys, and we are very excited being here with you. Jean and Max are here to discuss tokenomics and rewards, and of course we have some questions as usual that we'll find answers because we are here for that. So I think we can start directly from the
Sure, let's
first
go.
question up. Let me share my screen. Hopefully I will. Yeah, let's go for that. Great. Everyone sees my screen? Yes?
Yeah, we can
Max?
see it.
Great. So first, okay. So this Ask Me Anything session is about tokenomics and rewards, but we will answer some other questions that we have and we received. And the first question is: with the latest people joining the team, should we expect better communication? Well, guys, to be totally frank, we have so many news coming. And unfortunately, when we are working on these kind of things, we can't communicate on everything. And you will see that at the end of the month, things will move quite fast. And yeah, so bear with us, stay tuned. Obviously, we are not perfect. We try to improve all the time. And maybe there is a middle ground to find, but yeah. The next question, which is related, by the way, to what I just said, is when Adia Lab competition V2? So that's an important question. Maybe Jean, do you have some clue about this competition? Is there one, or I don't know? Like, what do you think? What should we do?
Well, there is a lot of rumors, a lot of whispers. It's not only whispers because in the last closing ceremony, Simon Horst from the Adia Lab was so happy with the results he had in the first work they did with the community that they wanted to do another round and more work with us. And so this what is out there. We cannot make any official statement at this stage, but obviously there is more than rumors, and so I cannot say more, but that's where we stand. I think that's exactly related to what you just said, Ben. There is a balance that we need to find in terms of communication. I think there is two aspects. There is a day-to-day tournament about when we launch new subject, when we communicate on the score, when we close the submission phase, when that's something we can very easily get better, and we will. There is another aspect which is about communicating on the background work we are doing with new user of the platform and new customer and etc. That's something that is very hard to communicate before we actually either sign or even after the signatures. We need to wait sometimes for official press release or that kind of action. Especially when working with large corporation or big research lab like Adia Lab. That's the second level of communication. Third level of communication that we can get better at, I think, is, and this one is actionable. It's about the documentation. We have some desynchronization that are happening sometimes because we're moving so fast sometimes on some product that the docs, for example, the written communication is not as optimal as it could be. And we need to get better at that because there are going to be more and more documentation if we have more customers on the platform, different use case, different communication, different text. So if you have any suggestion, any tools, any tips for us, please share it, because this has been a pain point for you and I think for us as well. But regarding, okay, I'm getting back to Adia, sorry, but I cannot tell more, but it's gonna be It's going to get clearer soon.
Thanks, Jean. Yes, let's try to find a middle ground, obviously. But by the way, I see that many people are joining. So if you have any questions, like just please feel free. The chat is yours. We are here
Yeah,
to
I
answer.
see Alexei is raising his hand. Maybe we can open his mic and we can, or maybe Alexei, you can write down your question, but happy for you to join us on stage and ask the question.
Yeah, if you want, you have the floor.
I don't know how we can grant him the.
Oh yeah, I can. Just let us know, Alexi, if you want to move on the floor, take the mic, let's say. Okay. Oh, we have some questions here. Nasiruddin, thanks for your question. We will come back to this one.
A bit later.
Okay, let's continue with the questions, guys. But we will take this one. Don't worry, Nasiruddin is coming.
Yeah, and also waiting for Alexei to either ask the question on, on the chat but happy to get a question, Alexei.
So, question is, I think it's for you, this one, Max.
Yep.
Following the votes, workshops, discussions, what's the plan on staking, earning, burning, BMX mechanism, token distribution, and what time horizon should we expect? That's quite a question.
Yeah, definitely. That's that's the reason why we're here today on this AMA. So I appreciate the question. And the next one is also related to the token. So I think I might just start to talk about it. But
Yes.
So basically, before jumping into the next slides, the most important thing to acknowledge is that we've realized that from a community perspective, it was kind of hard to understand how, the value was captured and shared, and also what could be the different token utilities, and I mean, except from being a payment token. So obviously, we started those workshops trying to understand what were the pain points and how we would be able to kind of improve the way we share the value with the community. And we went to we jumped to a very simple conclusion. This conclusion, and I'm going to start, or maybe Ben, you can keep on sharing the slides because it's hard for me to,
Sure.
yeah. So we went to something very simple, which is we need to transform the token. So it's not just changing bits here and there. That won't be enough. We jumped to the conclusion that we needed to create a new token. And basically that's what I'm going to be talking about. That's what Jean and Ben are going to be talking about during this AMA, but obviously during the next month. And we're going to jump into it. So before jumping deeply into the token world, if you guys have any other questions related to something else, or Alexei, if you want to ask your question now, happy to answer, or we just move to the next slide. But guys, let us know in the chat if you have a question that is not related to the token or the rewards.
No, I don't think so, Max. I think we can take the next question, which was on the ETA.
Yeah, TGE, for those who don't know, means token generation event. So it's also linked and tied to the topic of the day, and we're going to talk about it right at the end. Okay, thanks, Alexei. Your hand is raised. That's the reason why I'm being pushy, but sorry about that. Maybe you just pressed the wrong button. Cool. So let's jump to the next slide, Ben, and we'll go through. We'll talk you through our journey with the token. So as I said, the things that we've got from the conversations were that we needed a new token, a new reward structure, and a new tokenomics. And the reason for why I'm telling you this is because, yeah, we needed clarity. We needed to understand from a community perspective exactly how things were shared and distributed within our ecosystem, and also the way we were interacting with the outside world. We saw a lot of questions about how do we price crunch community, how do we achieve certain type of competitions, tasks, stuff like that. So the thing was clear, the current token is not good enough to play this role, and we started to work on something new. So we're going to jump on, on the next slides and telling you what was the journey. First thing we've decided is that this token can't just be a payment token. And the reason it can't be a payment token, and forget about complex stuff like BME, Berlin Mint, I was talking about that without being really working inside the team. So I was just trying to help bringing a mechanism to the equation, but reality is you need to kind of change the equation first. So let's forget about all those complex stuff and just talk about something very simple. When you create a token, and when this token has just one purpose, which is the payment, you're basically creating your own selling pressure. And this is not sustainable for people that are, getting into this ecosystem and that are happy to keep the token for them as a payment. Because when you get something for your work, you expect this money to be, to be used to then buy stuff for your daily life. So it can't be a payment token. So if it can't be a payment token, then it should be something better than a payment token. And the model that is clear to us is that, and Ben, you can keep on jumping to the slides, is that we needed a fairer reward system to kind of set the right rules for our marketplace. Because in the end, if you think about it, Crunch is a marketplace. We have on one end, I'm sure that you guys have seen the schematic a million times, but we have on one end customers that are trying to get value from a community of data scientists, researchers, and ML engineers. So we have to kind of match supply and demand. And when you try to do this, you can't just say, and we've talked about that many times, you can't ask customers to pay in tokens because they won't do it. And you can't ask data scientists to be rewarded in tokens and then expect one day to receive a certain amount of token that represent a certain amount of fiat, and then the other day with volatility they could end up having less or more. It's not sustainable. So what we've came up with is we need to ask customers to pay in dollars, and we need to reward participants in dollars as well. So this transaction shouldn't involve the token. The way we're connecting the token to the transaction is by creating new utilities. But first, what you need to understand is that during those months when we were not really sharing news, and again, apologies for that, we were actively 24/7 working around the clock, traveling around the world, trying to understand what customers needed. Yeah, obviously, when I say USDC, for you guys, it's going to be stable coins mainly. But what I want you to understand is that we now have talked with tens, probably hundreds of customers, and we've realized that the potential is gigantic, but the tokenomics that we had at the moment was not really sized to grasp this opportunity and to get value out of that, and to also move fast with the market. So what we need to do is we need to create a new and larger supply that's going to be fixed. We need to move to a new chain. And obviously, what we need to do is we need to create new utilities. So when we say larger supply for you guys, bear with me because you're not going to lose any value. The only thing that's going to happen is that we're going to apply a multiplier to your tokens, but the value you hold is going to remain the same before the token goes public.
Yeah, Max, I insist on that. I think it's a very important point that you are addressing, and I think it's important that you repeat that.
Yeah,
it will
you're
not
going to lose any value. You're not going to lose any value. You're just going to end up having more tokens because the token price is probably going to be divided by a certain multiplier. So this is something we're going to talk about many times, but please, guys, remember, you're not going to lose any value. And another thing, and this is something I have to add, and this has nothing to do with the Crunch token. I'm speaking in general. I've had a question in the Discord channel saying, yeah, but you understand, guys, the token price is at that price point at the moment, and I want you to make sure that this is not a conversation we can have. There's no token, project that can have an impact on the price. We're not going to manipulate, the price of our token and stuff like that. So the only reason we can talk about a price at the moment is because when we've decided to kind of pose the payouts in Crunch, we've kind of took a picture, like a snapshot of a very specific situation at a very specific moment. And that's the only reason we're talking about a token price and then about value. But the moment the token, and if the token goes public, which is obviously the end game for any token-based project, the price is not going to be a conversation we're going to have, because then it's going to be like, like a free market dynamic. So sorry for that, but that was important to just talk about it for a bit. So the new way for us to capture value and also to redistribute value to people that are creating value in our ecosystem is that we're going to make sure that every time value enters the ecosystem, most of it goes back to the winners. And when I say the winners, it can be one person, it could be 1,000 person. It always going to be on the client's end, sorry. But you'll understand with a very important information that I'm talking, I'm just put like in caps lock, that we're going to introduce new mechanisms like staking and stuff like that are going to probably influence the payouts. But this is something we'll talk about later, probably not on this MA. But every time value enters, so most of the money is going to go back to winners, which is a major change in the way the tokenomics is set. And also, which is good for participants because you're completely decorrelating your participation in a competition with the token activity. So you can come, win, get money, and you can just crack on. You don't have to worry about the Crunch token. But if you do, then we've prepared stuff for you and for other people that are going to join us, hopefully, that will create a pressure on the supply. And this thing is called a buyback and burn. And if you want to understand this model, it's very straightforward. And it looks like the model of exchanges tokens or chain tokens like Binance and the BNB and the BNB chain, or even the OKB token, for instance, the OKB tokens with the OKX, for instance. So every time value is captured, I like it. I'm kind of reading some comments at the moment, and I like the reaction. So every time we capture value, most of it goes back to winners. A part of it is going to be used to buy tokens on the circulating supply, so on the market. We buy those tokens, we burn them, so we reduce the amount of tokens in our own supply. And then we keep a bit of the money also captured from customers to reward people that are going to stakers. So today we're introducing stakers to our ecosystem. And the rest will go back to the foundation treasury to make sure that the platform keeps on getting better. So it's fair.
Thanks, Max. Maybe just like Nasiruddin's, there is a comment. He says that he thinks it's great. So first, thank you very much, Nasiruddin. It means that we've done our job, I think. I mean, we are doing it. So great. And then he says, I think the new update should be starting from May. The Crunch token April payout inclusive liquidity should be allowed. Then all community members will know that as from May, the data scientists will be getting paid in not fiat, in crypto. It will be always paid in crypto, USDC, USDT, stable, whatever, but crypto. But starting from May, that's a question actually. Jean or Max, Do you have?
No, I think it's great. I think it's great to get this feedback. Jean, maybe you want to talk about it, but I think from an agenda perspective, we need to wait for the end of the month because we have a lot of things to announce, not just this new tokenomics. And yeah, maybe then we'll see when we change the platform. But this is more of a product question, Jean.
Well, remember the current rally guys are paid in USDC already. So the one thing that needs to now shift to USDC will be the DataCrunch Legacy tournament. But that is being called Legacy because there is a reason for that. And I think we need to shift it to the new platforms. And there is, it's currently being done. So we have this change that is going to happen once the Legacy tournament will be running on the new infrastructures that and deployed over there. Then we'll be able to apply the same mechanism. This is a technical issue. It's being coded now, so we'll see. When this is done, it could be done. But all the rally at the same period can be paid in USDC for sure.
Cool. Yeah, so that's great for people joining and participating.
So I think we can move on the staking subject, maybe, Max.
Sure. So obviously you guys understood that the way we put a pressure on the supply is when we buy back tokens and burn them, but then we need to also give utilities to the token to make the product more fun. And also something else we also got from some members of the community, more fun and a bit more complex. Because I think you guys need to be challenged, and we love that. And sometimes it's a bit counterintuitive because when you run a tech company, you always think that you want people to have access to kind of seamless, easy experiences. And then you talk to guys like you, the biggest brands of this world, and you guys are like, no, we like complex things. So we're going to have fun together building this kind of gamified staking things. And Ben, if you jump on the next slide, we want people to be able to stake on different things. So first of all, we want people to be able to stake on what happens in the platform during competitions. We want people to be able to form teams together. So therefore, we want people to be able to back them, showing them and signaling to the community that some teams are getting trusted within the ecosystem, which is important. Same things for models, same things for maybe individuals. But I want you guys now to be able to think and imagine what can be done. My DMs are open. The different workshops channels are open. If you have any idea, I know that Correlator came with something strong on staking, and I like it. We're probably going to implement something that would look like what is proposed back then. And also, just because Crunch can just, we can't, even if it's unique to have a community like ours, I think we need to understand that in this world of AI and machine learning, your skill set is obviously amazing, but we need more people on the platform. We need to grow, but we don't want to lose any quality when we do that. And we want the token to be a way to welcome new people with different skill sets, same level of quality. We're still going to be very demanding on the type of challenges we're going to tackle, but there's a lot of daily tasks that can be achieved by people that are not data scientists or ML engineers, obviously well-educated people, but stuff like validations of tasks or with validation, you can have reputation. You can also have, and Ben, we can jump to the next slide. Certain level of trust. So, and if we jump to the next one, I'm introducing new skills and the next one, new mechanisms, and the next one. So validation, we can have people helping us to, when they validate, make sure to have a role on the reputation score people can have within the platform. We can work with people to do reinforcement learning or any type of skills that is valuable within the AI industry that will help Crunch grow. And by doing this, we would create new mechanisms, probably not always staking, could be locking, could be token gated experiences, but anything that would provide value to new type of people on the platform, but also that would make sure that we limit the number of tokens that are circulating, which is, I think, in the end, something all projects are trying to achieve, but which is something we can probably achieve quite easily, because I mean, on the client's end, on the customer end, that the expectations around AI, the expectations around, data labeling, and also the ability to move a community on models. And I mean, the expectations are enormous. So yeah, hopefully this tokenomics is going to help us grow. And hopefully you guys will, love the fact that we are coming, full transparent with this, and, that we are keen on redistributing the value in a different way, and obviously in a fairer way for you.
Thanks, Max. There is a question from Jeremy about the chain we will use. He asked if we have already chosen the chain that we are going to use.
Nope.
No. And by the way, maybe if you have any suggestions and a reason for using a specific chain, please.
So I can start to answer the question. If we have like follow-up questions, I'll just make sure to answer to them as well. So obviously the chain could be a big decision if you see Crunch as just one kind of simple token that can be launched like on an EVM, for instance. If you say, yeah, but Ethereum is in people's mind the finance chain, and was invented to kind of disrupt the banking system, then Crunch has to be on ETH. I mean, it's something that was a bit that it's a bit short-sighted, because obviously there's lots of volume on Ethereum, but also some cons. Gas fees can be gigantic at some point. It could anyway. So you can have pros and cons on any chains, and you said it well, Jeremy. Thing is, I don't think Crunch should be just a one-chain token. I think Crunch could operate on different chain. Should be a multi-chain token. We don't see any blocker on that. Though conversations are happening right now with different chains that would be happy to host our token, launch our token with us, and support this launch from a marketing perspective as well, and from a product perspective. So yeah, maybe at some point when things are going to be clearer, when agreements are going to be obviously signed, we would be able to kind of drop some names, and you guys will tell us if you have any preference before we make the last take.
Thanks, Max. There is
great question from Alexi as well.
So Alexi is saying, clear to me, makes sense. Will you manage the payment for all competitors, the competition, or will you leave the choice to customers, such that Adia Lab has managed the payment?
From a tokenomics perspective, I'm just going to be very transparent with you guys. Crunch can take any sorts of payment, fiat, for instance, or stable coins, and then pay in fiat or stable coins. But from a product perspective, I don't know if it has any dependencies, Jean, but
well, for sure, some swapping USD fiat into crypto is still complex and not straightforward for many businesses. So again, we've been talking to a lot of possible customers of the platform now. We have a clear idea of what they expect, but for sure, one thing they expect is that they expect to use us as any other business. They really expect these production-ready services where they just use us as another services, and they use this community to have the best possible model out there. But asking them to swap USD into some specific tokens, it's not on their skill set, and they don't want to do it, and that would be a break to our development. So I think we need to stay flexible there. Then there is another use case where we were discussing with some other DAOs, for example, or other crypto project that would like to use our services as well, but they may be interested into paying with their own token on the platform. And that, I think, is an open question, but it creates this dissociation in value that may be a bit problematic, because we don't want to accept some currencies or some tokens that are not reliable, or that may not, reward your work in a correct way compared to the value you're creating with the markets. And I think that's super important. We really want to have correlation there. So open question, but I'm sure the business will expect us to manage everything.
Yeah.
On USDC, you delivering the service.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jean. So we had a question from Nasiruddin about an airdrop. He says,
Yeah.
there'll be an airdrop.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you guys have seen that the recent airdrops were a bit deceptive, but it's a hard thing. Airdrop. So, I mean, I'm probably going to link this. Yeah. We're probably going to link. I'm probably going to link this with the TGE question, because it's kind of related. So I'm just going to talk you through, guys, on how we expect things to happen from a token perspective. So now today we've announced that obviously we're going to create a new token on a new chain. So obviously, as I said, we need to make that happen. So you need to work with the different chains. You need to work on the last bits of the tokenomics. So expect also, guys, you can expect us, to share the different stuff with numbers, obviously, on the different channels. But then what you do is you set a date with the community. You set a date on the TGE. So at some point we'll have to, as the community, make a decision on when we want to create this new token. And to make that choice, we have to have different things in mind. And the different parameters that you have in mind, that you have to have in mind, is first, is it the right moment to do it? So obviously the market condition. Not because we expect any return or whatever, just because we expect to grab attention. Every time you're going to hear me talking about the token, it's never going to be from a financial perspective. It's always going to be from a product/marketing maybe perspective, business perspective. But I'm never going to talk about finance or any speculation things. Then when I say attention, is because obviously as a community, you can make a decision on generating a token, but then would you get attention from exchanges? So the best way to launch a token, and this token should be seen as a new one, even if we have to kind of make sure that previous holders are happy about the current situation, is you generate the token, or you announce that you're going to generate a token. And if you've done that in the right way, exchanges come back to you and propose to you to list your token. And it has to come from the exchange. So this is a very important information. So obviously, if you want the exchange to be able to know about your token and to know about all the efforts you've put before creating this token, you need to have more customers on the platform. You have to have a stronger community. You have to, check a lot of different boxes. So it can't happen like in a month. Now that we're working on that, obviously it's going to happen, and we hope, and we're going to make everything we can to make it happen as soon as possible, probably this year. But then, yeah, it has to move on, and we want to move on, and we're announcing stuff to move on. But we have to be careful about lots of different things, and also we have to involve you in some decisions. And for that, you need more information, obviously, that we're going to produce. On the airdrop thing, airdrop is a marketing airdrop is on the marketing is a marketing way to get the attention as well. So it can be an option, but if you airdrop value, so basically you're going to take an allocation from your supply and you're going to say, we're going to give money, free money to people. Then you have to ask yourself a question: who deserves to get free money? And in exchange of that free money, what are they going to achieve? What are they going to do for Crunch? Are they going to bring any value? Are they going to make sure that our platform goes from what it is right now to 10 times what it is right now? So it has to be like, it's airdrop is kind of like the biggest bomb you have in your arsenal. But when you press that button, you have to be sure that, the war is going to be over after that. So it is something that is in the air, in conversations, but we don't have a clear plan for that. And by the way, I think we need you guys to tell us if you need any communities of, ML engineers we can probably think about, when we strategize about this, or any use case or any stuff. We need help on that as well. But this is not a decision we're going to make today.
Thanks, Max. So another question from Cyrudin says, it's important that we allow people to liquidate all their Crunch token, Apple payment inclusive. Or what did you have in mind? Well, Nasiruddin.
Nasiruddin, if I may take this
Yeah,
one.
go ahead.
I think there is different case. So some of you depend on the revenue they have through the platform. They depend on the rewards somehow to continue to participate, and we have that in mind, and that's why we are again paying all the rallies in USDC. And so if you have this need for creating value fast, you should focus on the rallies. Just know that, for example, with the 2 rallies that are happening now, when we will have both DataCrunch rally and X Alpha rally running live, it means that we will have double the reward on the platform. And so every time we're going to add a new use case through these kind of rallies or through this kind of competition, we are multiplying the reward, and they are directly connected by the value creation. And so that's much more sustainable. That's what the new tokenomics need to get a grasp on. So if you need that, please focus on the rally. Then remember that we have locked a big chunk of reward. It's more than 6 months of reward that have been blocked on a smart contract now, which is more or less the time we expected that we would need to actually solve the overall tokenomics and implement it. So no worry, you will be able to liquidate your Crunch, but for sure you will receive the same amount of Crunch that you used to have with the new token when we're going to move.
Same value.
Same value. Exactly. The same value. So there is, like you say, Max, nothing will be lost at this moment, and you will be transferred to the new tokenomics directly.
Yeah.
And so that's a zero loss again. So no worry for that. Plus there is a warranty that we save the reward on the smart contract to be sure that what we are giving you is liquid. I think it's also a bit of a discipline that we had to put ourselves through, because if we never stop this and continue to work with the previous tokenomics, continue to distribute value, we'll end up in the trap that Max was describing, where you create your selling pressure that is not connected to real economical use case. And so by stopping that and making sure that we fix this first to restart, that's very, very clean approach to do it. And we ensure that it's sustainable.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thanks, Jean. Last thing, maybe on Alexis is asking if we don't have any other IDs on the use of the crazy. It says crazy IDs to share.
One of the most crazy, Ben, one of the most crazy was, I don't know if it was Correlator or Gems that came with this idea of staking on other players. And I think, Max, you like it, or staking on other teams. I think this is pretty wild. I think it's kind of funny as well. And that's probably the most crazy, I think, so far. I think.
Yeah, we can do a lot of fun stuff. We can do a lot of fun stuff. Definitely.
So, if we don't have any other question, I think it's time to conclude this Ask Me Anything session. What you need to understand still is that, of course, as you have seen, we are working on so many things, these potential new competitions. I mean, new competitions are coming, but potential special one is coming maybe as well. So we need to work on that. We need to work on the design because we are also working on design. We need to work on the tokenomics. We need to work on improving the platform and so on. So there is many things that are coming. Be with us, and yeah, let's stay tuned for further updates. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Talk to you soon.
Have a
Cheers.
nice day. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.